Today, we fixed the tank that we started doing last time. All right, so as we left off last time, our tank was only functioning slightly better than the World War I tanks. So we're going to try to improve upon that. So the first thing I want to mention here, and this actually doesn't have really anything to do with prefabs, but we're here at the moment, so we may as well address it. If we open up our code, there's a couple things we can do. The first problem is we're spawning the bullet inside the tank. This is causing a rigid body collision, and the tank's kind of just freaking out. If you don't remember, we have this very tragic looking scenario where the tank spawns, and we fire the tank, and well, something like this happens. So we want to fix that. That's not how a tank's supposed to behave. So the first thing we can do is what I've done here is first of all, we're just going to get the rigid body directly from the object. You could do transform.position, but rigid body position and transform.position are going to just be the same, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do temp rigid body temp rig equals temp. Temp is the name of the bullet we got. Get component rigid body. And then the next thing, I want to set the temp rig.position, and I want to set it to the right of the tank, hopefully in the barrel somewhere. So what I can do is I can use the transform vectors. Now this is something we have not talked about. This .gameObject.transform gives you the transform for your object. If I say transform.right, this gives me a vector that's 1 to the right of your object, but not including your position. So in this case, it's going to give me a 1, 0, 0. So the reason I use this instead of hard coding 1, 0, 0 for vector 3 is because if my object rotates, this will still be to the right of whatever my object is. So I've taken this, I multiplied it by 1.2f. This is how we do floating point, remember. And that just makes it a little bit farther away than just 1 from my tank. But if this alone will not be enough, because this vector itself is only 1, 0, 0. So I have to take this vector and add it to this .gameObject.transform.position. So now it's going to find the position and then add to the right of that position vector, and that's where it's going to spawn my bullet. Then I'm going to set temp.getComponentRigidBody.velocity to 500, and then we're going to see what happens. Again, our tank is still going to have a problem because we're spawning so many bullets. The bullets are now bouncing against each other. See, I can fire a couple at okay, but after I fire too many, then my tank kind of loses control. And then you can see though the bullets are spawning on above the cylinder. They're actually right in front of the cylinder. So it worked out quite nicely. A little bit lower probably, but watch this again. Look closely. You see the bullets spawning about right here. But there's so many that they just start causing problems. Apparently if I'm on my back, the tank can fire as much as it wants. But so obviously I need to limit how many bullets I can fire per second. And this makes sense not even from a perspective of this tutorial, but from a game perspective, you usually don't want to have infinite bullets being spawned. Again, most of the time your bullets are not going to have rigid bodies. Oh, hello. Let's get rid of that. Sorry. Most of the time your bullets are not going to have rigid bodies. So my computer's dying, so we're going to try to make this fast. If we go up here, we will see that I've added a couple variables. I have public float reset. This is going to be reset for my timer. Public float timer is 0.3f. Again, there'll be floating point numbers. And then I'm going to say public bool can fire is true. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to modify this. So if I hit the fire button, it's above 0, and I can fire, go ahead and fire. And then I'm going to say can fire to be false. So if I ran it now, I could shoot 1 bullet and then I'd be done. If I can't, this is a separate if, so it's not an else if, it's just a separate if. If I cannot fire, then timer minus equal time dot delta time. And then if timer is less than 0. So this is how I get the change in time for update. In a fixed update, I can actually just do time dot get time because it will be a fixed rate, or time dot, or there's another method I can get in fixed time. But if I'm using update or fixed up, not using fixed update, if I'm using this normal update, I have to use time dot delta time. So the change in time between the last time this event was called. So timer minus equal timer time dot delta time. If timer is less than 0, timer equals the reset. So I set it back to 0.3F, and then I set can fire to be true. This is a simple rate of fire reduction algorithm that's useful for many, many types of genres of games. So that's the addition we're going to do here. I go back to Unity. I run it. Now I fire. You can see that my bullets are popping out. They're not exactly really good bullets, but they're popping out, and they're just kind of falling off the ledge of the scene. But as you can see now, my tank is stable. It's not being propelled backwards. I'm not having any problems, and I'm firing at 0.3, well, 300 milliseconds, I guess. So let's see if we can improve that a little bit. Can we make these bullets go faster or do something more entertaining than just roll off the cliff? So I guess we can always set the speed higher. We can just do that. We'll say set 15. We can also give it, what we can also do, instead of doing that, let's just go back to 5 real quick. We can give it an up vector. So it's going to shoot up a little bit. So it kind of gives like an arc. I know our barrel's not pointing up, but you know, just it's a proof of concept. So still not very exciting. So we're going to have to increase the speed. So we'll set this to be 15. And now we have something that resembles a little bit more of a bullet. Again, I could probably increase the up vector even more, maybe say 5, and we could get ourselves a little more of an arc. Or I could take gravity off. If I want, I can just take gravity off the bullet, and then I won't even have to worry about this. But I was just showing you different options you have, especially if you want to make that old turret style game where you shot one bullet and try to hit the other person's fortress. So now, yeah, now we have an arc, even though the barrel's not pointing up. Looks a little bit more like a bullet. So that's how we fixed our bullet spawn. I'm going to have one more video on prefabs when dealing with rotation.